Shalom, family. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. Well, we're going to talk about Donald Trump and his push to try to get people off of disability. And many of these folks are not only children, but grown adults. Now, I don't know if any of you might remember this, but his nephew, Fred Trump, did an interview and he was talking about how Donald Trump, because his son is handicapped, Donald Trump was telling him to let his son go and just go down to Florida to live. And he said this about his own nephew. So you know darn well he don't care about the rest of us that are not even related to him. So anyway, y'all, he's trying to push this measure to put handicapped people in asylums. So they shouldn't live with anybody. Just pack them up in some institution somewhere and let them finish out their lives there. First of all, I don't know how he can legally get this through. And number two, many of us don't throw our people away. See, nursing homes come from people like Donald Trump. It's people like him that came up with Donald Trump. Because when their parents or grandparents reach a certain age, they throw them away. To me, the nursing home, you're throwing them away. And you don't feel like dealing with them. You just don't have time. Well, there are a lot of us that come from an ancestry line where we take care of our elders. We take care of them. We take them in when they can no longer take care of themselves or be alone. And we take care of them until they're gone. I did that with both my parents. I took care of my father because he passed on first, and I took care of my mother. We didn't throw them away and toss them in nursing homes because in our culture, we don't do that. But in theirs, they don't see nothing wrong with throwing a person away because something's wrong with them, or they're elderly, or it's some child with a handicap, or it's a parent that have developed dementia. They will throw their folks away. We don't come from that kind of culture. That's why you can stop by our houses anywhere up and down this nation, and sometimes there's 2 and 3 generations under one roof because that's how we roll. That's how we do it. And plus, we grew up in a time where we couldn't do nursing homes. Okay. Our people during Jim Crow, you couldn't put our people in some nursing home along with white folk. You couldn't do that. So, our people really got used to doing it because we couldn't do that to our parents during Jim Crow. So we did what we had to do. We made do and made room for them and lived life as usual. So Donald Trump wants you to go along with him snatching your handicapped relatives out of the home and throwing them in some institution, more than likely overcrowded, where they won't get any attention. That's what he wants you to do with your loved ones. And if you decide that you are going to keep them at home, then there's no need in the government paying them disability. They're with the family. The family can take. I said, what kind of retarded? Sorry, I didn't mean to say that word. Yes, I did. What kind of crap is that? A disabled person needs money too. They need money for transportation, some of them. They need money for their medical care. They need money for things they need in the household because of their handicap. Where the hell does he get off saying that they don't need their money? You know, no, look, I am not disabled right now in my life. I am not disabled. But I don't want no rich white man telling me what I need to do if I do become disabled. I don't want nobody like Donald Trump telling me what to do, telling me where I need to stay and what money I don't need. Oh hell no. No, he don't have no say in that. When do we let these people decide how we're going to live and whether or not we can be in our homes or not? No, nobody like Donald Trump is making that decision for me. If that were to happen to me, no, he's not making that decision for me. But that's what he's attempting to do to people in this country. Take your money away and throw you in an institution. That's his goal. And I say BS to all of it. For real. Okay. So before we get started, today is the final day. You can get the goat milk shampoo and leave-in conditioner for 40% off. The goat milk shampoo is 16 ounce. The goat milk leave-in conditioner is 8 ounces. So it will end at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time at lisacraft.etsy.com. All right, so grab it up while you can. And I still have plenty left. So grab it up while you can. But let's get to this video. So, it's bad enough they're taking Social Security, and people like me are going to have to work into the day I go to the graveyard because they're saying there's going to be no Social Security within the next 3 years. So, what are the people that don't have Social Security supposed to do? We're going to be working into the day we go to the grave now. This is why I don't want rich people in charge. This is why. See, they don't have to worry about that. If Social Security go away, they got the money to get through life and nothing will change for them. But for average people out here that don't have a lot as a rich person does, yeah, you losing your Social Security is life changing. You losing your disability is life changing. It's not life changing for a rich person. That's why they don't care. And they should never be the deciding factor when it comes down to what we do with our lives or what we do with our money. A lot of these people that are handicapped, they worked and paid taxes too. There's plenty of people on jobs with handicaps and they work and pay taxes. So why should anything be snatched away from them? Thank you for the ones, everybody.
Trumpers, what the fuck have y'all done? Do y'all know what y'all have done? Damn, where do y'all find this shit out? So Alison Burkhoff finna come on here. I'm about to play a video of her. And she used to be the head of disabilities for the DOJ. Okay, obviously not no more with Trump in office, but Stephen Miller has been pushing for because Bloomberg law ratted his ass out. So he's been pushing forward, trying to get rid of, how people are able to live inside of their and receive disability. He's trying to get rid of 2/3 of everybody that's on any kind of disability and put people in institutions like nursing homes and mental institutions. Fam, these motherfuckers is sick. They are going after everybody who's on any kind of disability. They coming for you and trying to put you inside of a fucking institution. This is what y'all voted for.
Controversial memo. It authorizes states to send Americans with disabilities to institutions, nursing homes, psych wards, segregated schools, rather than funding the community-based services that allow them to remain at home. This would undo decades of community integration reforms, including longtime Supreme Court precedent that was designed to allow those with disabilities to live independent, productive lives. This week, we learned that White House Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller was behind that memo, according to Bloomberg Law, who spoke to people who were briefed. And while spokespeople for both the White House and the DOJ denied that Miller played a role in the memo, this attempt to remove folks with disabilities from their communities tracks with his exclusionary vision for this country. Miller is infamously obsessed with demographics, crowing just today about deporting Haitian migrants and refugees. Under his watch, DHS has produced a trove of state propaganda, which experts say promotes white nationalist slogans and iconography. He is also, of course, the architect of Trump's draconian immigration policies. And as the New York Times reports, during a private meeting during the last presidential campaign, Trump reportedly told staff that Miller wants to deport more than 2/3 of this country's population, leaving behind only those who look like him. For its part, the White House denies that reporting, but it certainly seems consistent with an ethos that says, if you can't deport your undesirables, at least hide them away. Allison Barkoff led disability enforcement work at the Department of Justice. She is currently the director of the Hirsch Health Law and Policy Program at George Washington University, and she joins me now. Allison, walk us through what this memo would mean in practice.
So this memo is shocking in its reversal of 50 years of policy by the United States government that states should provide services to people with disabilities in their own homes and in their own communities instead of locking them away in institutions, hiding them away from society. And what this means in this reversal is that the main enforcer of disability rights laws has now said, we are not going to continue with that work. That's going to mean settlement agreements being undone, new positions in court. And the memo talks about undoing decades-long regulations that have been in place.
The Trump administration is moving to cut disability benefits for 400,000 Americans with Down syndrome, autism, dementia, severe mental illness, and other disabilities to save $2 billion a year. We found out this week the Iran war has cost $25 billion in 8 weeks. They're asking for $1.5 trillion in defense spending next year. And when you factor in gas prices and grocery inflation from a war that's blockading oil through the Strait of Hormuz, the real cost to every American family is far higher. But yeah, the people with Down syndrome living at home with their families, those are the ones who need to tighten their belts. ProPublica broke this story and it's being buried. The Trump administration wants to change how SSI benefits are calculated. SSI being the program for people who can't work because of severe disabilities. Fewer than a third of applicants are approved. Recipients average $994 a month. To qualify, you can't have more than $2,000 in assets. These aren't people gaming anything. These are people who have spent years fighting just to get approved. The average process takes 2 years. The proposed rule targets disabled adults who live at home with their families instead of in institutions. If your family also receives food stamps, the administration wants to count your bedroom as income and cut your monthly benefit by $300 to $330, or eliminate it entirely. The justification? Russell Vaught and Doge want to undo anything Biden touched. Conservative think tanks claim this saves $2 billion a year. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities points out that the entire annual savings from these cuts wouldn't cover a single day of the cost of the tax cuts for the wealthy Republicans just passed. One day. But sure, the problem's the bedroom. ProPublica talked to real families. Opal Foster's 18-year-old son, Jeremiah, has Down syndrome. He lives at home and is trying to become a chef. Under this rule, his benefits could be cut because his family needs food stamps. Cutting his SSI saves taxpayers $11 a day. If that forces his family to place him in a residential facility, the cost to taxpayers jumps to hundreds of dollars a day. Disability advocates, faith leaders, and budget experts all agree this makes it more expensive. It doesn't matter. They're doing it anyway. Trump promised not to cut Social Security. SSI is administered by the Social Security Administration. When you point that out, the White House says, the disability programs are technically separate from retirement benefits. Meaning when Trump said he wouldn't cut Social Security, he apparently only meant the retirement checks, not the checks going to people with disabilities. That's the kind of distinction only Ebenezer Scrooge would make, or in this case, Russell Vaught. $25 billion on a war nobody authorized in 8 weeks, $1.5 trillion in defense spending for next year, and $2 billion a year from people with disabilities living in their families' spare bedrooms. That's the math. That's who they think should sacrifice.
For the current administration, cruelty is the point, especially to the disabled community. The Department of Education just shifted special education oversight to HHS, led by RFK Jr., who said kids with autism will never write a poem or hold a job. What a great role model. Meanwhile, the DOJ released a memo that effectively weakens the Supreme Court's Olmstead decision, making it easier for states to institutionalize people with disabilities instead of supporting them in their communities. This shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, considering that in 2023, Donald Trump told his nephew Fred Trump, who has a disabled son named William, that he doesn't recognize you. Let him die and move down to Florida. Of course, Donald Trump's the type of person that tells his own family member to just let their disabled son die. And if Trump doesn't care about his own grandnephew with disabilities, why would he care about what happens to anyone else with disabilities?
I don't know about y'all, man, but y'all better start paying attention to what the fuck Donald Trump got going on, bro. Because I just found out that this man is literally trying to get rid of 2/3 of everybody who is on disability, right? You know, the type of people that's receiving SSI and the people that gets to sit home and they don't have to worry. They can sit there and live off of their disability check, right? This man is actively trying to get rid of all of that, bro. Whether you a veteran that's receiving disability, whether you're a regular civilian that's receiving disability, any type of disability that you have, he is coming for that shit, man. This man literally said that he's trying to put people into psych wards, trying to put people into nursing homes, and trying to put these different type of children with disabilities into alternative schools, right? And basically just take away veteran benefits and SSI. Now, me personally, I don't think this is going to go through the Senate or Congress. I don't think it's going to pass. So, you know, that might be good news on the end. That's going to be very hard to do. But y'all have to be aware of what these people are doing in this country, man, and what he's trying to do, bro, as a president, bro. Because at this point, bro, this is the person that y'all voted in. And if you think that you're not going to be affected by this, you sadly mistaken. Because I'm pretty sure everybody's family got somebody that has some type of disability, whether you're a veteran, whether you have mental disorder or whatever. But he's literally trying to get rid of 2/3 of everybody, man. So I'm telling y'all, bro, this is the person who y'all vote for, bro, and this is what they're trying to do. And this just goes to show you, brother, these people don't give a damn about us as people and as a society, man. I'm just telling y'all, but y'all stay tuned.
I have alarming updates to share with you about Trump's attacks on children and adults with disabilities like Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, and more. The Trump administration is signaling a move towards forcing people with disabilities into overcrowded facilities. They are jeopardizing disabled children's right to grow up with their families, attend school in their own neighborhoods, and contribute to their communities. To understand why this is so dangerous, we have to look back at history. For decades, Americans with disabilities were shipped off to facilities and homes, isolated from their families and locked away from the world. It was a catastrophic failure that stripped Americans of their dignity and health. But thankfully, after decades of advocacy, we passed the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the Supreme Court ruled that isolation of people with disabilities is discrimination. Now, every American has a legal right to grow, learn.
So Trump is now wanting to cut benefits and support for 400,000 SSI recipients with Down syndrome, autism, dementia, and other disabilities. The Trump administration is working behind the scenes on a rule change that would deduct the value of a disabled adult's bedroom from their SSI allotment, even if the family members that they're living with are so poor that they qualify for food stamps, which is often the case because...
Okay, I seen a couple of you were asking about benefits from disabled veterans, and I hate to tell you this, but the answer is yes. And maybe I'll do a separate live on that. Yes, he's trying to take benefits also away from disabled veterans. So unfortunately, they're not exempt. He's targeting them as well.
As families who are caregivers for disabled family members are often forced into poverty due to the lack of assistance that's already even available by our government. So it's kind of a self-feeding system. But what this change really means is that Trump wants to slash benefits for the most low income and financially unstable disabled Americans in our country. Quote, the likely SSI cut will affect not just younger adults with disabilities such as Down syndrome and severe autism who are still living at home with their low-income parents, but also older people with dementia or other health or financial problems who have had to move in with their adult children on tight budgets. All told, as many as 400,000 poor and disabled people and indigent older people across the United States could have their support cut or eliminated, according to a ProPublica analysis of actuarial figures from the Social Security Administration. End quote. So to receive SSI as a disabled individual, you're already forced to be poor. So you cannot have more than $2,000 in countable assets. That's not even like liquid money in your bank account. $2,000 in assets. And you can't earn more than $994 a month in income, which is less than $1,000. I don't even know where you could live for that price. Not anywhere where I live. If you want to get married, they don't even bother to double that number. You can't have more than $3,000 in assets if you're a married couple. That's for the whole couple. It's disgraceful that this is where the Trump administration thinks that they need to cut further to save money. A ballroom, bombs, those are all necessary. The poorest of the poor, disabled Americans in our country is where they think they need to cut. Be so for real.
Y'all, this could very well affect you and your family. If you have a loved one that lives with you that has disability or gets SNAP or anything like that, they may be cutting it off. Trump has proposed a bill that is going to cut off your loved one's disability because they are basing their disability on your household. So if your household is not in poverty, or you make a certain amount and the person that live with you don't need disability to live with you, then they are proposing that they cut the disability and also the SNAP benefits. So y'all, they said over 400,000 families will be affected by this because a lot of people are getting disability and living with loved ones. So Trump is saying, why are we paying them disability when they live with someone else? That means that they don't have to pay, or in his head, he feel like they don't have to pay all that much to live with someone. But you never know what people have to pay to live with someone. But this man is so weird, y'all. That orange man wants everything that's good for us out of here. So y'all, when it's time to vote, we need to vote. We need to stand on business because this really can affect a lot of families, y'all. If you don't believe me, look it up. It was on US Today. And it just blew my mind because I know people that have family members that live with them that has disability, but they need it. The rent is just out of this world crazy. And these bills, gas, water, lights, just out of the ordinary. The bills are just billing, and the food prices. So who don't need SNAP benefits to assist with, feeding the family, even if the person that you living with don't qualify? That's another thing. If they don't qualify for SNAP, then Trump said the person that the disabled person that live with you don't qualify neither. So yes, y'all, if you have a family member that is getting disability right now, but living with someone that's well off, they might be getting their benefits cut if this bill passes. And him and his bills. Y'all like, repost, comment, tell me how you feel about it, and thank me later. Tell a friend that's not on social media that may be affected by this. So that way you ain't got to get ready if you are already ready. Toodles.
Well, first of all, I'm having a hard time following Donald Trump's logic on this. So if a person that is disabled is living with family, according to him, they shouldn't need that much money because they're being taken care of by family. That's a load of BS. And it depends on what type of disability they have. Some disabilities cost a lot. All right. And you're not even factoring in that some of these family members they live with, they don't live in rich neighborhoods. Many of them are broke themselves, but they are there for their loved ones to help them each and every day. And those families don't necessarily have a lot of money. So his logic makes no sense. So if you live with family and you're disabled, according to him, you really don't need the money. I mean, look, man, I can tell Donald Trump, it sounds like you didn't get beyond elementary school. It sounds like you didn't get beyond elementary school for real. Who the hell thinks like that? There's a lot of people that are low income taking care of people in their families. There's a lot of parents with disabled children. But because they're they shouldn't need as much. Wow. We really got a dumbass MFer in the White House for real. We really truly do. Yeah, it's greed. Just like no social security. We pay taxes in this country every day. So where did that money go? They never did explain where all the money went and what caused this country to go insolvent. Who are the culprits involved in stealing this money? And why are they not jailed? Why didn't they go to jail? But you know what, y'all? We should have known when these people floated over here from Europe, they weren't going to do nothing but what they always do: steal, kill, and destroy. And that's exactly what they've done. They've robbed this US government. That's why there's no money. That's why it's $40 trillion in debt. So now Donald Trump is trying to come up with ways to get money back into the US government. So I guess one of the ways is to take away from disabled people because he sees them as worthless. That's what it really comes down to. You wouldn't do this if you valued that disabled person. He don't. He think that they're throwaways. That's what he think. But Donald Trump, I wouldn't get on that high horse if I were you, because your ass is starting to look disabled these days with those swollen cankles that don't seem to go down. I have never seen that in my life, where you got a person with big giant cankles and the shit stays that way year in and year out. They don't go down. You're in bad shape. You're not even in the best of shape. And look at what you're doing. This is unbelievable. My heart goes out to disabled people because some of them have lost some of their benefits. If you go over on TikTok and listen to a couple of our disabled citizens, they're over there talking about it, how they got cut, their benefits got cut, or they are getting less money per month. They would get a certain amount, and Donald Trump took hundreds of dollars away from them, and they're now getting less money every single month. And yeah, I mean, it's already happening, y'all. It's already happening. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I do have one more live. I just got to get it posted. But thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Don't forget, today is the final day for the goat milk shampoo and leave-in conditioner. So grab up while while I got it in stock. So, y'all, have a wonderful afternoon. I'll see you on my next live. Shalom.